The Arkham series is a goldmine for content, but also for lore. Here's the thing. Yes, I've backed off of these videos quite a bit, mainly due to burnout, to be completely honest. I don't want to ruin Arkham for myself. I can, I want to talk about it when it's fun. And these videos are really fun to talk about because the Easter eggs in this series are incredible. They're just insane.
Well, and they take you out of Arkham sometimes, too. Like, a lot of this stuff even goes beyond into the entirety of Batman, so instead of just Arkham, which is really cool.
Yeah, it's really cool how they tie in the lore and everything. So anyways, if you enjoy this, please leave a like. Please subscribe for more content. Let's hop right in. Number 5. The first one is in Arkham Knight. Now, this is actually a big reference to Arkham Origins. Now, for not being super involved in each other's games, Arkham Knight does a lot of references to Arkham Origins. Interestingly, this is one of them.
It really does, yeah. It really, if you go into the evidence room in the GCPD in Arkham Knight, you'll see a ton of the stuff from Arkham Origins as far as like gear from villains of that game and everything like that. So they do a really good job of like, no, this is a part of this franchise. This is a part of it. This is a part of Batman's history in this world, and so they do a really good job of that in Knight. I 100% agree, and that's with Copperheads Poison, which you'll see when you first enter into Ace Chemicals in Arkham Knight. And on one of the tables to the right side, you'll find a vial with the label that says Copperhead Poison.
Yeah, so, isn't that awesome?
That's awesome.
That was done really well, because the thing with this is, yes, these games, they're connected, but there was always people in the community who didn't like Origins, who wanted to discredit its canonicity. You really can't. I mean, whether you like it or not, it is pointed to so much throughout Knight. Like, hey, remember Firefly at the bridge? Hey, remember Copperheads Poison? It's over and over again. I like this because of that reason, but I also like it because I don't think there's enough connections between Origins and the other games through Easter eggs and other things, and this is just another strand or thread to connect those stories together.
Yeah, I agree. I wish that there was more of a connection there. I get that it was made by an entirely different studio, so it makes sense, and I think that's what a lot of people felt when the game came out the first time too, is it's not Rocksteady, it's taking the name, that's fine. It's the same combat system for the most part, with a few changes and upgrades, I guess, on how you see them, but for the most part, they've been viewed for a long time as separate. But I think recently the whole Origins is underrated meme has really taken off, at least in the last couple of years that I've seen. And people are starting to see the connections and how well the games do intertwine. And I think Knight does a good job of saying, listen, and I think Rocksteady has even come out in the past and said, no, Origins is a part of
they have.
For sure.
Yeah.
They've said that. And so this was more of another thing of like, listen, we recognize this as part of our work as well. Like we're with WB Montreal with the game that they made as well. And so this is all a part of it. It's one big universe.
Number 4! So the next one we have is from Arkham Origins, speaking of that game, and that is Calendar Man. Now, there is a small cameo, small little appearance at Blackgate Prison. This was something you didn't notice, but I think most people did, to your credit. He is actually leaving the execution chamber at the beginning of the game. Now, this is where they shove Commissioner Loeb and kill him. Julian Day was sentenced to be executed here, and you actually do see as well, you find his cell and you look around at all the stuff in there, but you also see references to him in the Batcave on the detective wall. There is a lot going on with Calendar Man here. We did talk about this briefly in a previous video, but this is a little different because I wanted to get more in depth on it, because in a previous video we talked about the whole Rocksteady, I was there at your beginning, I will be there at your end, where we mentioned that he was actually, there at the beginning of the game.
Yes.
But I do think that a lot of people kind of glossed over that with how cool it was of like, the Rocksteady plan. That's not really as much what we want to talk about as just, why is Calendar Man so prevalent in this series? It's just interesting. For someone who doesn't show up that much, he's here all the time.
You see him
oxymoron.
From beginning to end. You really do. And yeah, I never noticed this at all. And there was even earlier today when we were going through and looking at Arkham Asylum too, there was like a statue at the end of the game in front of the Arkham Mansion where you see Warden Sharp's statue graffitied and taken up in Poison Ivy's roots and stuff that I had never noticed before. So it's like every time we touch one of these games, something new comes out of it.
Yeah, some would say every time we touch this game, it touches us back.
That's right, dude. Yeah, maybe I should have said touch. It just felt
In a
weird.
good way.
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, it is the best.
Now, it's cool, like, how they're able to do that, though. And I think that Calendar Man is one of those background villains in the games. Except unlike some, like, Maxi Zeus and, Prometheus and ones that are out there in the world, you do get to see him a few times.
Yeah, he's just kind of lurking. It's kind of the vibe with Calendar Man.
Number 3. In Arkham Asylum, Ra's al Ghul is actually in the game. A lot of people don't remember this, but his body appears in the morgue. Now, this is something that you probably will notice because you're, scanning around, you're doing your thing as Batman. But the thing is, he's gone post-game. If you go back there, like after you've done all your scanning, all your messing around. Now, this is in the morgue in...
Dr. Young's office.
Yeah, Dr. Young's office. There's actually 2 morgues in this game, at least. I'm sure there's more somewhere that I forgot about. Oh, there's one in the crematorium or whatever. I don't know. Like, this one is interesting. It's just a small morgue with some special bodies. And
some special bodies.
Yeah, they're special to Dr. Young. Just interpret that in your own way.
Oh my god.
Ra's al Ghul, though, his body's there and then it's gone. And that's kind of odd, but very much on brand. This is something that comes back in the series. This same thing happens in Arkham City. When he's impaled up on the spike after he falls from, during Protocol 10.
Wonder Tower.
Yeah, from Wonder Tower. Thank you very much. He's gone later.
He is, yeah, and that's what it was interesting with this one because I was trying to remember if he had left or what had happened with that one, but we actually went to the morgue in this game, which is in the medical facility.
Popular YouTuber Morgs.
Yeah, we went to his house and doxed him, and then so we went to the morgue in Arkham Asylum, and you see all of these what are they called? Like the freezers where they have the bodies.
Yeah.
So they've got all of those, and I don't remember if this was because of the flashback or what happened, because that's where one of the Scarecrow hallucinations happens. But you see all of them kind of opened up, and it's kind of a mess in there. So I thought maybe that implies, that the League of Assassins were in there looking for his body. And then after we went there, we're like, well, his body's actually over in Dr. Young's office. Let's go check that out. You look in there, and then you see the body's gone. And that's, I believe, after you scan it, because you do have to scan it, I'm 95% sure, for a Riddler trophy. And after you scan it, you come back, the body's gone, which, like you said, is exactly what it was like in City. The League of Assassins is taking his body, bringing him back in the Lazarus Pit, and then that's where we pick up in Arkham City. So it's perfect.
Pretty cool.
It's great. It's a great Easter egg.
Number 2. The next one we have is actually from Arkham City. Now, this ties into Arkham Origins again. I think a little bit unwittingly. I think Arkham Origins built off this a little bit, though, with Mr. Freeze. That's the fact that Ferris Boyle, who is one of the people actually responsible for Mr. Freeze's conditions and messing with him, trying to take care of his wife, Ferris Boyle is actually mentioned in the steel mill. There's a sign that says Boyle Cryogenics. This was basically a solved riddle. Now, the interesting thing with this, as well as that it relates back to GothCorp, GothCorp does play a big role in Arkham Origins Cold Heart.
Yeah, well, I think it's related to the animated series a lot, is where obviously a lot of the Arkham franchise has
the lore
inspiration from. Yeah, the lore, yeah. And Ferris Boyle is a real douche in the animated series. We see him
kidding.
In Heart of Ice, I believe, is the origin story you see with Mr. Freeze, and basically he's just kind of this weird cock guy who is the worst to Victor Freeze. And Victor Freeze is by no means this innocent, cool dude, but
I got it cool.
Yeah, get my Schwarzenegger puns on. But yeah, it's really it's cool to see that them tie back to the animated series yet again, which they did most notably, I think, in Arkham Asylum. But even to bring a character like Ferris Boyle, who's lower key, definitely kind of, I think he's more of like a one-off character you see
and
in the
douche.
series, and a real douche. And to bring him in and have him just kind of on the steel mill like that, I thought that was really cool. It's a cool tie, and it brings you back to the animated series and the origins of Freeze himself.
And Arkham Origins.
Yes.
It's like both. It ties into both in a really cool way.
Absolutely.
Number one.
It's number one.
So the final one we have is a little Easter egg for our boy Jonathan Crane. Now, some people would think Jonathan Crane is just some kind of glorified construction worker. Perhaps he's one of those guys who turns all the cranes at the end of The Amazing Spider-Man in a totally realistic scene as Peter Parker swings with bullet wounds through New York to fight a giant lizard. No. Jonathan Crane is Scarecrow in the Batman series. Now, why are you laughing?
I mean, it's just weird to think of a guy being like a crane master. And like
there's Jonathan Crane. I'm sorry, is that the weirdest thing ever? We have Victor Freeze is Mr. Freeze, and this is weird to you.
No, you're right. No, it makes
Dr.
sense.
Otto Octavius is Dr. Octopus, so this is weird to you. This is where you draw the line.
You're right. I guess I shouldn't draw the line.
Yeah,
there.
Jonathan Crane is a force to be reckoned with. Now, here's the thing with Scarecrow. There's a lot going on in the background, actually, of Arkham Asylum especially, and the other games with Jonathan Crane. Now, for example here, we do find some stuff hidden from him in the first game in Asylum. We find at the bottom of the elevator shaft his little secret hideaway where he takes all the girls, hangs out, has a good time with his weird serial killerish drawings and stuff. Totally normal guy.
Shrooms? There were shrooms in
there. There were actually shrooms. That was interesting.
A shocking amount.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, that was like the Joe Rogan paradise down there.
It really was. You ever done DMT?
Another thing that we also see in the series is his hidden boat in Arkham City, as well as his mask up by the crane,
yes.
Which is interesting. Jonathan Crane.
More crane,
masks.
yeah.
Proving my Spider-Man theory as well. And we also do see his heavy involvement in Arkham Knight. Now, why am I going through all those things instead of just getting to the damn point you're asking? Because it is all connected. In Arkham Origins, oddly enough, if you look at the visitor log for Blackgate Prison during the opening, like when you are actually getting there and there's the whole prison riot and everything going on, there's technically 2 Blackgate Prison riots in this game. The opening and then the one caused by Joker in the end.
Yeah, there is, isn't there?
And Bane.
Yeah.
But yeah, so in the first one, you can see that Jonathan Crane signed in on Blackgate's prisoner visit log. And it shows that he had been visiting Blackgate for a long, long time, but he hasn't signed out yet. So he is there at the beginning of the riot. Now, what does this mean? That's up to your interpretation. Was Jonathan Crane somehow involved? Did he maybe expedite the process, make it a little easier, or was he just there? It's up to you, but Crane has been plotting for years. He really doesn't seem like someone who's ever been much on the up and up with anything. He's always been kind of corrupt. He's always been wanting to do his thing even before he took on the mantle of Scarecrow. So it's pretty interesting to know that in the background, 10 years prior to Arkham Asylum, basically, I guess really Knight, but this far out, he was involved in the universe and what was going on.
Well, it's interesting to think that he might have been pulling strings too, like was involved in potentially starting the riot, or was maybe just there and like maybe he released some fear gas. Who knows? It's interesting, but it is cool to see that he ties all the way back to Origins like that. I think that's fascinating.
Well, and he's also a character that thrives on chaos.
Yeah.
And in the Arkham franchise, whether it's WB Montreal or Rocksteady or whatever, where there's chaos, it doesn't seem like Jonathan Crane is far behind.
No doubt.
And neither is Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man.
Nope.
So
forever in our hearts.
Yeah, forever in our hearts. 1992 through 2020 or whatever. Let us know what you think in the comments down below. Is the Amazing Spider-Man dead? Will he be back in the Spider-Verse movie? Wait, that's off topic. Let us know what you think about this video. Are there other amazing Easter eggs that you saw in the Batman Arkham franchise? What was your favorite joke in this video, or were they all cringe? I don't really care. I just try to entertain myself. We hope you had a fantastic day, and as always, stay shway.